Hey everyone, Pete here. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. I hope everyone had a great holiday season. Today is Thursday, January 2nd, and obviously the past few days and even couple weeks has been interesting. So I'm going to try to my best to keep up with these videos just to give updates. We got quite the sell-off on SPY and QQQ today. So my goal today is to review and try to go into Friday and maybe even next week with a bias. Let's see what we can come up with. And then there are quite a few other tickers I want to take a look at, like Apple, NVDA, AMD, Target, and Oxy, and a few others. We'll see. I don't really have a plan for today like usual. I'm just going to jump into the charts and see what we can find. If you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe on the video. That'll help me understand if this is the type of content you're looking for. And nothing that I say is financial advice. You're expected to make your own decision. So, all right, with that being said, let's jump right in. All right, so first I'm actually going to jump into SPY. And what we can see on SPY, as I mentioned in the last few videos, we continue to put in lower highs. And up until today, we did not put in a lower low except for until today, like I mentioned. So what should we look out for moving forward? So a couple things to call out here. So what you could see is that we are bouncing off of the golden pocket so far. We had this sell side level that came in on December 20th. So if we actually switch to and so then now we also have this daily imbalance above that we need to be mindful of. And we have this election gap that we're slowly starting to fill. But what I think they're going to do, before we even jump there, we also still have this head and shoulders that everyone's starting to talk about that we need to be mindful of. What I think this is going to turn into, my guess, is that this turns into similar to NVIDIA's head and shoulders look. If we look here, you had everyone talking about this head and shoulders here. What ended up happening is it actually ended up sweeping the sell side and then pushed up higher, and now it looks like it wants to push up higher again, actually. But we'll jump back into this one later. But just wanted to point that out. The head and shoulders, I think, is just going to end up being a liquidity grab. And if you switch to the 4 hour, it already looks like it's bouncing. So then what next? So let's actually look at, I didn't even look to see how futures open. Yep. So futures pushing a little bit, completely filling this 4 hour fair value gap here. So it would be interesting to see if we get a rejection here now. So let's see. Sorry, I just need to pause for a second. Okay. Let's continue. All right. So going back to SPY, you could even turn extended hours on. Okay. All right. So what let's just draw some fibs, see what we think could happen here. You know what would be actually kind of funny is if they now push it up. Before I even do that, actually, let me just take one step back. So going into January, what I ended up doing was I looked at the first few days of January since I think going back to like 2018-ish. And the first few days were always red, at least 3%. So for like the first 2 or 3 days, down 3%. So just something to be mindful of. We could continue to fall and completely fill this gap. Would be interesting if we catch here. I do think it's interesting actually that the 786 is right at the bottom of this gap. So just something to be mindful of. I really probably am not going long until we really get some confirmation. And same thing, you could see there was like an hourly fair value gap here that got filled, but nothing else that really. Okay, so you have this 4-hour fair value gap here that we could watch out for. Okay, so now that we have these fibs drawn the other way, so from this top on December 26th to this local bottom here today, what we could see is the 786 here lines up with this trend line that we have here, and it's the top of the bottom of this gap above. So would be kind of funny if they tease this gap and then go up and tease that gap. But what that would do is that would put in another lower high, and that would be the third lower high in a row, which would be a trend. So in order to get there, what I would like to see, let's maybe switch to the hourly. Yeah. So would like to see us push, make our way up here, get a body close above this 4-hour fair value gap, come down, test it, and then continue pushing up over the next couple days. So tomorrow, let's see if we can get to like that 588 area and see how we react there. So otherwise, so again, the reason why I'm leaning towards upside is because we took out this sell side level here, bouncing at the golden pocket. So as long as it holds, I'd like to see us start pushing up. We have this imbalance here. We have this 4-hour fair value gap here. So let's turn this into an inverse fair value gap, test it, and then continue pushing up. If we get a successful test here, that's where I would personally look to go long. But until that happens, I'm kind of just sitting on my hands. Let's see for QQQ. So Q's had this imbalance here. Bouncing off the 0.885. Took out this sell side level, went deeper than SPY did, right? Went deeper than SPY, almost an SMT, but not quite. All right, so now same thing. We have same thing as SPY. Oops. We have this imbalance here. So I like that we're bouncing at the imbalance. Let's see the 4-hour. Yep, we can remove this now. And same thing, Qs are also putting in lower highs. Let's draw fibs. We'll remove these. All right, so the 0.5 here, which would be obviously weaker than SPY, but the 0.5, and we could already see it's weaker than SPY because we went a lot lower. But let's see if is there the 4-hour fair value gap? Yeah, same thing here, right? So let's mark this. Okay, so pretty much the same playbook, right? Push up, come back, test, something like that. That's what I would like to see personally over the next probably like 2 days or so. You do have that daily gap above as well, but it is it's obviously a lot higher. But it is at the golden pocket, which is interesting too. So we could have a false breakout out of this trend line and make it up to this 526 region. So let's see. Let me just push this out. Okay. And what will also add confluence to this is when we start looking at some of the other tickers like Apple, NVDA, etc., and Microsoft. So, yeah, let's see. So, I guess let's do Apple next then. All right. So on Apple, for the past few days, I have been calling for a retracement on Apple, and I had us bouncing here. Obviously, you could lower it because essentially what I was trying to show is I believed we were going to bounce at this golden pocket extension, which is also around the 382, which is bullish. You did have a high volume, or not high volume, but obviously with the holidays around it, everything's a little bit volume's a little bit low across the board, but had a higher than the past week volume sell off. That's a higher volume sell off, and the candle doesn't look like a reversal just yet. So let's see. We could get this blue path, which would bring us back into what was previous all-time highs, which would be great. I would love for us to test that as demand before putting in potential new all-time highs. So I actually, now that I'm looking at this again, I think that's the more likely path. But let's see, what does a 4-hour bring? So that would be interesting because that could mean we maybe just kind of consolidate on Qs or push a little bit lower depending on if any of the other ones look a little bit stronger than Apple. But we do have same thing over here. We have imbalance. It's a gap pretty much. So I do think we at least come back to these imbalances. What is it? So it's this. Sorry, I'm trying to just figure out how I could do this without having to, I don't know, whatever. So maybe do something like this, come back up to around 240, 650-ish, and then continue down. Let's see what if the fibs kind of tell us anything from what we have so far. Yeah, I guess could even, so maybe come up to this first imbalance here and then reject and continue down to this blue path. Let's see. Let's see what NVIDIA, or before I do that, let me see what Microsoft is doing. So Microsoft, I was super bearish on for a while now. We're in this ascending, broadening wedge. And I've been waiting for this bottom trend line test, which we got today. So let's see if this level holds. Otherwise, you have these sell side levels below, and obviously this is a bearish pattern, so eventually I would expect us to drop out of it. I just don't think that happens just yet. I think we'll come back to at least this gap here in the 435 range, but obviously we just on the short side we need to watch out for all these sell side levels. Same thing, we'll draw some fibs. Yeah, so that's interesting. So that takes us back up. This gap would bring us to the discount range if we're bearish. So maybe see it, us work our way. You can see this is an imbalance here too. Work our way up to here. Tease the gap fill maybe. Could even get the gap fill. That would be fine too. And then sell off. I do feel like it will fall out of this maybe by end of January, maybe February. So just kind of need to see how long this takes, but could slowly grind up to 707 and tease this gap or touch this daily fair value gap as well. So let's see. Let me just extend all this. All right, so Microsoft so far expecting somewhat of a bounce. Apple, I don't know if the bounce is here yet. Let's look at it. Let's see if Google's even worth looking at right now. Google's holding up better than some of the rest. I thought we were going to come down to the discount range. I think we might be making our way there, but I do like how it's holding up so far. You could see it rejected this 1.618 extension. I thought once it did that, it would slowly make its way down. Maybe even, I like how both the golden pocket retracement and golden pocket extension line up. So let's move this. And what you could see is that it made a lower high. Technically, it just hasn't made a lower low yet, like Microsoft and Apple have. So it is interesting that this one's showing strength so far. So let's see a 4 hour. What it might do. So you have this imbalance up here that we should watch out for. But then you also have this 4-hour fair value gap. So to draw like a smaller time frame path, maybe we do something like that on the way. Sorry, I was trying to hold in my cough. NVDA. Video looks good here, and actually you could argue, remember I started off the video, everyone was talking about this head and shoulders. I thought that they would get faked out. Bears would get trapped because what it ended up doing is it swept this sell side level, and the sell side level was significant. This was the level that helped push it up to all-time highs. It's still too early to tell, but what I'm looking for. So first off, this was my ultimate target on NVIDIA. It's still too early to tell if it's going to get hit or not. And what that's going to come down to is NVIDIA is what I believe in distribution, trying to figure out if it's just going to put in an LPSY or if it's actually going to put in UTAD. If it puts in UTAD, it will most likely push up to this level, which was my ultimate target. 4-hour looks good. Again, swept the sell side level, came up. We created this imbalance, came down, tested the imbalance, bounced off of an order block, and now pushing up to these buy side levels. So we have a buy side level here. You also have this fair value gap, which looks like it's a 4-hour. It's a daily. So what I would love to see, and then you can see this is an imbalance as well, which is probably like we probably don't really need to care about this because we have this daily fair value gap here. But yeah, let me get rid of this. So what I would like to see is something like this, right? We'll come up similar to what I mentioned on SPY and QQQ, come up to maybe close to this buy side level, might not take it out right away, come down to this daily fair value gap, test it, and then let's push to this bigger buy side level up here, and then let's see if we can get UTAD. So that's personally what I would look for. Let's assume the bottom here is in. Let's see if the fib extensions tell us anything. Okay, so could maybe make up here. 1.618 would bring us to that 158 level, which is within my target level. That would be pretty cool. So let's see. I'll lock this. AMD. So I do think that money is going to start coming into chips again from big tech. Let's see. AMD, the one thing I was telling the Discord is that it hit these relative equal lows. It hit this level that I wanted, but it ended up hitting in pre-market. So I would like to see it hit during regular market hours personally. But you do have this imbalance that it came down to test, which is good. So it could bounce here. Yeah, let's see. It could bounce here. I don't like charting with extended. If it does, I do like that it's generating. If we look on that, it's probably clear on the hourly. I like that it's generating all this buy side liquidity on the way. So that's one of the reasons why the market moves, right? To generate liquidity. And that generated liquidity will act like fuel as it pushes up higher. So you also have these relative equal highs up here. So I'd like to see it start pushing to this 127.74-ish area. And then you have at least an hourly. It's probably big old weekly. I'm going to mark it on the daily. All right, so you have this daily fair value gap, which would be great to flip to an inverse fair value gap. All right, so bear case, we continue pushing. We take out these relative equal lows during market hours. bull case, we bounce at this imbalance. Obviously, there's a daily gap up here. Let's see if the fib retracements tell us anything. Okay. So what would be nice to see? Something like this would make it back up to 0.5. Same old thing, right? And start heading towards this gap up here. Otherwise, bear case might look something, even if we do bounce, could bounce at this daily fair value gap and then continue lower, and maybe play out this blue path. So something to look out for. Okay. Sorry, I wrote down a few tickers I wanted to take a look at. All right, so let's move away from tech and chips and let's look at Target. All right, so what I like about Target is that it bounced off of the discount range of this weekly fair value gap, and you have this inverse head and shoulders look. Obviously, what I don't like is volume so far, but last week was a short week. Let's see if daily, we got a little bit more volume today. No, not really. But we're so far rejecting this other weekly fair value gap. So I'd like to see us flip this weekly fair value gap and remain bullish. So what I do like though is 4 hour looks like a little cup and handle action. So it could continue pushing and making its way through that weekly fair value gap. I think there's and you actually have, so probably unnecessary to record this one because there's already so much going on. There's already this gap and this other weekly fair value gap, but just wanted to mark that as well. Let's see if the fib retracements tell us anything. I'll draw from the top here to the bottom here. Yeah, so I would like to see us start working our way up to at least 148. I think what we'll do is we'll make it to this golden pocket area. You can see there's buy side liquidity here. Ultimately, what I think will happen, or what I'm hoping happens, is we take out these relative equal highs up here, which is also the 786 extension. Obviously, there's a lot of liquidity up there. So maybe something like, and also what I like is that it's generated all this buy side. So maybe it's a slower grind up, something like that. But we do have, and this is on the weekly time frame too. So you have buy side here, buy side here. And, the catalyst could be strong earnings following the holidays. Let's see. Buy side here, and then obviously the buy side level up here. So there's a lot of liquidity to grab above, which I like. So yeah, I'm still bullish on this one. I think let's see if there is. So also, what I like about this on the 4 hour is you could see we had this 4 hour fair value gap, which we came down to the discount range and pushed off of, which is bullish to me. Bear case, we fill this gap here. So just something that we need to be on the lookout for. I don't think it'll happen, but just something to be mindful of. Down this 126 region. Yeah, still bullish on target. So, Oxy was the other one. I think I got, oops, why do I keep doing that? I could do this. Let's do it. Oxy, another one that I've been watching closely because I'm trying to look for an entry, but I really wanted to see this weekly imbalance get tested. I thought we were going to reject at this golden pocket, but ended up overshooting to this 786, which now you can see there's buy side here. I think it was, yeah, there's liquidity up here. So, and then hourly could be bear flagging. So, it's not something I'm going to jump in just yet. I'm looking for a long entry. This red path I've had marked for weeks, and this blue path is sort of like the smaller time frame. What I thought, how I think we'll get down there. I don't think obviously it's going to just be one big push down. I think we can kind of create this inverse head and shoulders look before going long. So yeah, I don't know if there's any. I haven't looked at, like, there's these others that I am trying to be very patient on. Square, one of them. I still think Square has a lot of potential. I think it's in SOS of accumulation. Just kind of waiting to see if it makes it down to this weekly fair value gap and this discount range, this local discount range. So just trying to be patient on this one. I'll probably, once it looks like the market has bottomed, which it could have already. I'm still waiting to see if we get that election gap fill first, or if we bottomed today. But this is one that I am going to start getting calls in again, just giving myself more time. When I originally got them, they were for January OPEC, so now I'll be looking for like March or like June. But I'm targeting this region up here. So let's see how Zoom's holding up. All right, so I don't know what the heck. I should have had it marked like this. So there's a weekly fair value gap here. I hate when I don't mark them. Usually I'm like on my phone and I'm lazy. So I like that it tested. I thought it was going to keep pushing up higher. Almost rejected this 1.618. This is one that I still think has potential to move up higher. I don't know if I'm going to play it. I think I like Square better, personally. And then you have this daily fair value gap here within this weekly. That's probably what I had marked off originally. That looks like we're bouncing off of. So let's see what the fibs tell us, if anything. All right, so we bounced off of the 707. So that's good. Let's see. Let me get rid of these. See what we could do from here. In order for me to get calls, actually, yeah, I don't even think I'm gonna play this one. But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna play this. But if you wanted to, same thing. You could see that we have these buy side levels that it generated. Would like to see it maybe take out one of these buy side levels. Let's see how it reacts there, and then I'll come up with a plan if anyone wants to play it. Peloton was one I was tracking for a while. I think it just got smacked recently. Yeah, so we had this daily fair value gap here that it just bounced off of. And actually held up pretty decent today, considering everything else. We do have this gap below that we need to watch out for. But this is one that I still think has a lot of potential. I think we'll get to at least $12. So I'm going to put this back to the top of the watch list. So let's see what we can. Yeah, so I might start getting June calls for $12. I'll take a look at these ones. There's another one that I am super, super, super bullish on. I think it's going to be a monster play. I'm not going to talk about it here. We're talking about it in the Discord. The Discord members know I'm going to provide them with an update. The only other one, let's see, was it PayPal was one that we're watching too. So I like that PayPal is holding the 0.5. And same thing, looks relatively strong considering. What I would like to see happen now that we have this daily fair value gap, I'd like to see us turn this into an inverse. You could see that it rejected. All right, so if I want to get bullish on this one, what I would look for is for it to take this daily fair value gap and start doing something like that. I don't know if we'll make it that high, but something like that. But I am bullish on this one. I think it has generated a ton of liquidity. It looks like a rounded bottom. I would just like to see volume start coming in. Don't love last month's candle, but that seems to be the case across the board. Would love for it to make it back up to this $100 range, and then let's see what it does from there. My personal target is the 110. And then possibly this 0.5 buy side level at around 125. So, one that I have decided to be very patient on is ASTS. I've talked about this one a lot. Obviously, you saw insane moves from May. Looks like it's in a monthly bull flag. Um, if you zoom in closer, it's actually in accumulation. But I mentioned it was too early to tell which schematic and if it was going to see a spring or not. I didn't think it was going to put in a spring because it kept putting in lower highs. But now I'm starting to think we might get a spring and get a push down to maybe this imbalance here. If that happens, I would like to see strong volume come in and for us to start taking out, heading towards this $30 range. And that would signal some strength. And that's when I would look for longer dated calls. But I do think that this one is a monster in the making. But obviously, having such huge moves, after having such huge moves, it needs some time to consolidate. And I do like that it's holding this previous all-time high supply as demand. OKLO, I like that it's holding this trend line. I want to see it have a body close above this fair value gap before I would consider going long. But it's holding up a lot better than I thought it was going to hold up, to be honest. So this one's another one that's a top watch for me for 2025. So I think this one still has a ton of potential. I also want to grab shares of this one. Yeah, I guess the last one real quick is GME. So obviously there's a lot of random news today. People are talking about maybe a all hands meeting happening. Doesn't really feel like that actually happened, but who knows? And then Roaring Kitty's post, but I like that it held this golden pocket. I don't think it's going to go much lower personally. I see the case for like 2950, which would be the 786, but I don't think it will get there personally. I'm still waiting for it to get to like that 3550 region, which I think it could do relatively soon. I thought it was going to happen this week. Who knows? GME loves Fridays, so let's see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens starting maybe next week. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation around that 1/9 date, January 9th. So yeah, let's see. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. So just TLDR real quick to recap. Leaning bullish for tomorrow and maybe early next week, but we have to be mindful that historically the first couple days or first few days of January are typically bearish, so we could push a little bit lower. You had Apple looking weak. I forgot to look at Tesla. Yeah, Tesla bounced where I wanted to so far. It's an imbalance, bouncing at the golden pocket. But I do think that there's a case for like the 355, 360 region. So let's see what it can do from here. I'm not very convinced by that 4 hour either. So this could help bring the market down as well. But NVDA looks strong. I don't know. Let's see. I don't have like a ton of conviction one way or the other. It's just kind of I'm waiting for that really nice setup to come into play. I haven't taken a lot of trades the past couple weeks, to be honest. Just waiting for something to present itself. So please, if you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, engage with me. I want to know what you want to see. If you have any chart requests, let me know. But I really appreciate you all taking the time to watch, and much love.